I told you so. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which has just crossed the 1 month mark since its release on PC 1 month ago, over 1 month ago, has essentially flopped on the platform, failing to secure 1 million units in sales since its release on PC back in late January. Not only that, but the concurrent player count, just like any other video game, continues to drop day by day. And the current 24-hour peak right now is at 13,000. And it's been hovering around 20, 25,000. Sometimes it'll go a bit higher than that. Sometimes it'll go a bit lower. But generally within the 20,000 range is where the concurrent player count has been from day to day. Now, this game, when it first came out on PC, it was seeing a strong push right at the beginning, which, is not surprising. That happens with a lot of video games, especially with a lot of PC ports. But you also got to remember that the people that bought this game day one when it came out on PC are early adopters, many of which had already bought the game on PS5. Now, there were some who bought the game on PC day one who didn't play the game on console. I'm one of those people. I decided to go ahead and dive into the game because there was nothing releasing in February that caught my interest. I have no plans to play Monster Hunter Wilds or Avowed or any of these other games, which, as far as I'm concerned, are very mediocre in quality. And I just decided, you know what, let me go ahead and, dive into this game that I blatantly skipped last year. And since then, I have completed Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I thought about making a separate video about my experience with it. I haven't fully decided one way or another as far as that goes, but that's not what this video is for. This video is purely for the game's performance on PC. So, like I said, it's been a little over a month. According to two different sources regarding the game's sales numbers on PC, according to VG Insights, the game has sold 916,000 units a little over a month after release. And according to Gamealytic, it's sold far less than that, based on a number of different estimates of copies sold. Now, I'll leave it up to the audience to decide which of these figures, which of these websites is accurate. But I also want to highlight where the game stands in the top sellers list, which according to SteamDB right now, as I'm recording this, the game is number 154 on the top selling games on Steam. It had fell to number 200 something, and then it went up a little bit. And this game, when it first came out on PC, similar to a lot of these other PlayStation ports, the game was on sale when it first came out for a number of weeks, and then that sale ended a number of weeks ago. So this game right now on Steam is $70. For the base price, it's $70. So regardless of which site you believe, whether it's VG Insights or Gamealytic, it's very clear that this game did not sell the numbers that Square Enix needed it to sell, which is the main point that I'm making here. Not only that, but in terms of actual reception from the community, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has also failed to secure at least a minimum of an 80% positive rating. And the game in total only has 14,000 reviews. For a game like Final Fantasy VII, that's supposed to be like this half remake, half new, weird hybrid style type of game. And for one of the highest rated games that came out last year, for a Game of the Year nominee, a recent Game of the Year nominee, you would think that this game would have more attention on PC than what it's getting. But But this just goes to highlight what point I was making last year when it comes to this game. The fact that Final Fantasy is nowhere near as popular as it used to be. The fact that even Final Fantasy VII is no longer the cultural zeitgeist that it used to be, mainly because of the declining popularity of the series itself. The fact that PC players do not give a shit about Final Fantasy when it comes down to it, and really only cares about, the big multiplayer games that are popular. Right now, the popular game that's out right now that everyone's playing is that Marvel game, Marvel Rivals or whatever the shit is. Yeah, this. This is the popular game that everyone's playing right now, all the casual people. Now, I don't play games like this, but I do pay attention to what the community is into. And, I mean, if you just look at the review numbers right here, 227,000 reviews, it's clear that this game is receiving a lot of attention. And Marvel Rivals only came out officially, going on 3 months ago. It's currently ranked number 3 in the top games list by concurrent players. Meanwhile, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which had a peak of around 40,000 players, continues to see a day-to-day drop with its gain of current players. And of course, these numbers are just going to continue to dwindle over time. By the time March closes out, these numbers will be even worse than what they are now. And the funny thing about all this is that I told people that this was going to happen. I warned people, I said, the PC gaming audience is not going to save this game. I made it very abundantly clear. And as it turns out, I was right. Even more hilarious is this pathetic puff piece by IGN trying to put this game on some kind of imaginary pedestal by claiming that it's doing better than what it's actually doing. And the title of this article is just ridiculous. After failing to meet expectations at launch, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth shoots to number 3 in the US charts with Steam debut. Well, first and foremost, the United States alone, despite having one of the biggest markets for video games in general, does not matter on its own, because there's other markets around the world. There's the UK market, there's the Japan market, there's a slew of other countries that I haven't named. You got to look at Europe, you got to look at Asia. You can't just look at the United States and claim that a video game is doing well just because it's selling well in the United States, or a game has a good launch in the United States. That's not how it works, because video games always do well when they first come out, and then those numbers slowly start to drop in the weeks following. It's no different than a new movie that comes out in theaters. Strong sales in the beginning, and then week after week those numbers continue to fall. Now, when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, as the article has mentioned here, one of the biggest gaming stories from last year was the sales performance of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which Square Enix absolutely refused to provide some kind of sales quota and give the community and the press an update as to how the game was actually performing. And that wasn't no coincidence, because Square Enix is a company that likes to brag about how well their games are doing on the market. So for them to not say anything and to be silent for months, literally, month after month after month, they were silent and didn't say shit about how well the game was actually doing, that's pretty rare for Square Enix to do something like that, and it obviously means that the game wasn't doing that great. Now, they're acting like this game has been a major success on PC, and it hasn't. The game hasn't even sold 1 million copies. It's been a little over a month. The concurrent player count capped out at around 40,000 players when it came out, about 3 days after it came out, and then it started to drop. There were some bumps, there was a bump here, which is just a higher low. Here's another higher low at 29,000 players, and the number just continues to drop from there, from day to day. So this game performed about as well as what another PlayStation port that was released last year did, and that is God of War Ragnarok. Now, according to VGN sites, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has sold more units on PC than God of War Ragnarok. However, God of War Ragnarok is still the much more successful game by comparison, because God of War Ragnarok, I believe, on consoles sold around 15 million units, whereas Final Fantasy VII Rebirth failed to secure just 3 million units, I think well over a month after the game came out last year, initially. And the fact that the game has been released on PC within less than a year from its original release date on PS5, that's just another sign that the game hasn't done as well as Square Enix had expected it to. But the fact that IGN would upload an article like this, and specifically point to the United States sales charts, to boost this false narrative that this game is actually doing well on PC, is absolutely ridiculous. It's disgusting journalism. So even if this game came out on PC last year, it would have only sold maybe around 1 million copies more than what the original sales numbers actually were. And we can see that here with the number of units sold. We can see that with the estimates that's given on both of these sites. So for those who were wondering, how this game was actually going to perform on PC, well, you got your answer. It's a flop. The game didn't even sell 1 million units. It's been over a month. The concurrent player count continues to fall. Day after day, week after week, month after month. And it's only going to get worse over time, because that's just the natural way these things work. Like I said, the only thing that's going to save the Final Fantasy series at this point is if we start getting rid of some of their upper level management over there at Square Enix. Because the direction that they've gone with this franchise is just, it's really sad. It's pathetic. It's simply the wrong direction for the series. And for those who are big fans of this game, you really got to think of it this way. Square Enix made this big-ass game, this big-ass open-world game. They made this huge-ass game with AAA production values. That's nothing more than a fan service-driven showcase that jerks off in the face of the most hardcore Final Fantasy VII nut jobs that's out there. Game came out, received these high-ass reviews, and yet it did not sell. People did not care. And not only did people not care, not only did the game fail to secure a big audience, but it went all the way to the Game Awards, got nominated for Game of the Year, and then lost to a game that's not even 10 hours long, about a robot playing mascot as PlayStation characters. Astrobot's not even a AAA game. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, this big-ass, fan service open world game with AAA production values, lost to a AA game about a robot playing mascot for PlayStation. And I believe the game's only around 8 hours long. That's how much of a failure Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is. All of this is on Square Enix. You made the wrong type of game. You assumed that you were going to have an audience and that people were going to care, and then were surprised when people didn't show up to purchase the sequel to a game that they ultimately were disappointed in. Because you delivered a game that was marketed to be one specific thing, and then it ended up turning out to be something completely different. At some point, you gotta start blaming the publisher for these things. That's exactly what's happened with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's unfortunate, but that's what it is.